What's good, everybody? It's your boy Tico on Blitz, back at it again with another video. And today we are going to be taking a look at the brand new Tier 10 Chinese Tech Tree Heavy, the BZ75. A vehicle that performs reasonably well in terms of its maneuverability, its deadly gun, especially for this derp gun right here that is on the tank, along with decent armor while at it. And to start off with, you can see that the front of its turret has upwards of 240 millimeters thick, with its front hull having upwards of 180. And this is what the armor profile would look like on flat ground. It doesn't seem that pretty whatsoever, but when you're in a position like this, you can see there's a lot of troll spots on the vehicle. You have a lower plate upwards of 176, very small cheeks on the upper portion of the hull that are upwards of 158, and then a tiny spot underneath the gun barrel, only 54, along with two hatches on the sides of the turret that have upwards of 230 to 220 millimeters thick. Loading heats, that's where it all changes. Look how many pen spots there are on the tank now when you're running heats. 321 base when you're trying to hit the upper plate right here. And then the turret cheeks also open up, having upwards of 320 millimeters thick, including two small cheeks to the left and right side of the gun mantlet, having upwards of 320. The thing that kind of bums me out about this tank is the fact that when used hold down, look at the cheeks right here. They become even less thick than the majority of other tanks that are used hold down. On the other hand, that thickens their turret armor, but surprisingly enough, 216 millimeters thick on the cheeks. This is just standard ammo when used hold down. When running heats, you can see it doesn't really make much of a difference for the cheeks. There's still going to be a pen, although it'll thicken it to only a small margin where you're still going to be able to cut through with heats. The same two cheeks that are on the side of the gun mantlet are also visible, and the hatches, because they're ginormous on either side of the tank, are also going to be visible while at it. And then here is the side of the vehicle. You have the side of the turret upwards of 180, then the full-on side having upwards of 120 to 140. And then the full-on rear back here, the back of the turret upwards of 79, and the full-on rear upwards of 70. With high S4 HEs, it's still going to be too thick in order for it to cut through with HEs. If I were in something like another BZ75, for example, having that high 180, I think 190 on the penetration, I'll look into it in this next clip. But if you're in one of those tanks, you're going to be able to cut through this vehicle and do the maximum amount of damage possible. I was close, considering the fact that I'm not running calibrated shells on my BZ75. You can see that the derp gun has 2,313 damage per minute with a 16.08 second reload time. Average penetration, like I was talking about before with the premium high explosives, it's upwards of 180. And the standard high explosives, upwards of 65, along with the standard running upwards of 250. Average damage, 620 on the standard, 780 on the premium high explosive, along with 920 on the standard high explosive. And then the aiming time with a horrible 4.8 seconds with a .342 dispersion. Maneuverability-wise, it's actually decently solid, having a top speed of 40 with a reverse of 15, with an okay power to weight of 14.6 along with that. For some of you that tuned into my live stream about the vehicle, especially for reviewing the whole line, I appreciate you guys' support. But prior to the stream, I was able to get 2 clips in, and we are going to review them in today's video. So I'm going to head over to the replays over in my favorites and take a look at some of these battles that are featuring this tank. I think one of them I was using the standard gun, and then the other one I was using the derp gun. So this is the first replay. I was actually using the standard gun on this one. It has a very solid damage output as well. 460 on the standard to be exact. And then pretty solid penetration factors along with that. Prior to this clip, I'm going to be displaying to you guys the stats on the screen here right about now, so you can get kind of a visual on what the tank looks like. There we go. And that is going to come off right about now. You can pause the video and take a look at the stats if you need to. So, we are on Dynasty's Pearls. It is one of the maps that was brought back into the game. So what I was doing here is I was making my way towards the left side. We already spotted an STB-1, and they also have a tortoise, I think, that's poking up on the right side of the map as well. So I was thinking maybe I can use my gun depression to the best of my ability to try to peck off some of these enemies that cross. Because we already know the rest of their enemies are already pushing towards the left side of the map. So, yep, there's the tortoise spotted off to the back right there. STB is going to stay in that little spot right there. So, what I do is I continue moseying on up. And there is the majority of their enemies over to the left side. So, what I do is the STB makes an accidental poke. I think right here. Yep, I was able to overmatch his turret. Yep, look at that roll. 482 on the side of his turret. That was a very solid roll. And the tortoise is going to move on upwards as well. STB is pretty much putting himself in the open. But there's another shot for 454 into the side of his vehicle. Tortoise gets chunked for a pretty solid chunk of his hit points. And the STB also gets cleared in the process. So I'm going to drive on up and get a solid shot into the side of the tortoise for 479. We were able to damage his ammo rack, which is good. So I think my enemies, yep, my Yag finishes off him. So what I do in this scenario is I don't go all the way around to their spawn and move in behind them. What I do is I go into a position to where I know that the enemies won't be able to have the upper advantage against me. So what I do is I make my way over towards this side right here and then poke upon the stairs and see what shells I could have gotten into in some of these enemies. We see the Yag that's poking or focusing on some of my other tanks that are trying to hold base A, but I get a nice shot into the side of him. He is going to turn around, but he doesn't worry about me in about a couple of seconds as he's going to turn back and face towards the moss. So I poke my gun over the stairs. That's a pretty solid chunk of damage dealt to him. I literally farmed this guy, so we're going to reload once again. Another tank of ours gets cleared, which is not ideal. We're going to aim in once again on him. Pretty solid chunk of damage into him once again. I'm going to reload. He's going to move in right behind the wall just before I'm going to be able to get a clear on him. I did want to try to shoot him, but my reload time just didn't seem to benefit towards him. So, well, he does a poke, so we were able to get the clear on him, which was good. So then we got the 60 TP moseying on over to some of our tanks. The majority of the rest of their vehicles are pretty much low on health. So what I'm going to do is tunnel the 60 TP and finish him off. So we're going to make our way towards him now. Upwards of 3,000 damage in the process. So here's the 60 TP. We are able to get a nice slap into him for a nice max roll of 575. The gun on this thing just feels absolutely nice. I mean, the aiming time combined with a lot of other factors, especially the damage output, are pretty beneficial towards the play style of this tank. So we are able to finish off the 60 TP here, and that is a 4,375 game. Funny enough, if you are able to do a certain chunk over 4,000 damage, you're going to be able to ace the tank without a hitch. So 4375 in this one, kill 2 in the process, and that is an instant ace. We were also able to do top on the team while we were at it in that one, which is pretty solid. Alrighty, so we're going to move on to the second replay here on Alpenstad. This time we are running the derp gun on this thing. We were also able to do above 4,000 damage in this one, I think, if I remember properly, but here we go. We're going to make our way towards the left side right over there. Stritz Von K gets a nice butt shot into me. So gonna continue moving forward in this one. So some of the enemies do end up going down on this one. Oh no, this was a high 3,000 damage game. My apologies, guys. Clearly just remembered that at the last second. Now, I did want to see if I can get a shot into the bat chat. I had 2 opportunities to fire in some pretty solid chunks, but then that happens, unfortunately, because, of course, the dispersion factors have led to that downfall of whiffing the shell. And now I'm allowing the BC to escape, which is not ideal. So then I see the Yak Panzer over to the side. I want to try to get a chunk of damage into him. So we're going to move on up. We already knew he fired a shell. A nice shot into him for 672. we're going to stay put right here and see if we can try to get another shell into the Jagdpanzer. We do have a crawling over to the side of him as well. So we're going to reload once again. There's the Jag. He gets a solid chunk of damage into us, but we are still able to overmatch his rear, even though it says that it's a slight penetration. So then we have the BC to our left. He ends up bouncing me once, and then he pecks me off for a pretty solid chunk. Now the T-95 is trying to move on up, and now he's trying to aim in on me. So I'm basically just sitting here like, I don't know why this guy's trying to tunnel me. Although I do have a support behind me. So a T-95 gets a shot into one of our allies, but he ends up getting a shell back into him. And that was a very lucky shot right before he angled at the last second, able to do 671 into the side of his tank. So now we're reloading once again. I'm going to try to see if we can get another shell into one of these enemies. Got the BC right there. And that is basically what you get, a 966 max roll for trying to tunnel me and dump all 3 of your shells into me. So long live Mr. BC. Alright, couple other enemies over here. This object is AFK right here, so we're able to get a nice slap into him for 611. We're going to reload once again, and we are going to finish him, as he doesn't appear to be moving. So 3, 2, 1, get a nice solid finishing into you. And that is a 35-78 game, able to pull a first class on this one. Killing 2 in the process, blocking 700 damage, along with also doing second on the team, but that was still an ideal battle. And then my final thoughts on the BZ-75. Still haven't played enough battles for me to even give this tank a personal overall review beyond my behalf, but it's going to have to wait. I mean, I still want to get acclimated to the tank's playstyle a little bit more before I can put my final viewpoints on the vehicle. But anyways, hopefully you guys did end up enjoying today's video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And make sure to turn on those bell notifications so you be notified whenever I upload any new videos. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace out, y'all.